this tutorial, we're going to discuss about system requirements of Exchange Server 2010. So again, we are believing on Microsoft documentations, and we are available these documentations available on the Microsoft website .net. So a couple of system requirements is there since Exchange server is a value-added thing and a different environments, and we need our environment to be prepared for Exchange server. It should be uh, what the demand of, should fulfill the demand of Exchange server 2010. Now, supported coexistence scenario. Now, the coexistence of Exchange Server 2010 and the real version of Exchange Server is Exchange 2000. This is what the list up there. The following table list scenarios is coexisting with Exchange 2010 and the real version of Exchange are supported. So, except 2000 server, Exchange Server 2003, Exchange Server 2007. And mixed Exchange 2007 and Exchange Server 2003 organization is supported. So whatever version you're running it, for example, in your network, in your environment, for example, Exchange 2000 server is running and you want to upgrade in Exchange Server 2010, then that won't fulfill the demand, and that particular Exchange 2000 should have to upgrade to Exchange Server 2003. This is the minimum requirement now. Say that Exchange 2000 is needed support, and it's supporting Exchange 2003, 2007. So, for example, if Exchange Server is already present in your domain, it should be 2003 and 2007. Now you can see you can upgrade an existing Exchange 2000 organization directly to Exchange 2000. Must upgrade to Exchange 2000 organization to either an Exchange 2003 or Exchange 2007 organization. Then you can upgrade the Exchange 2003 or Exchange 2007 organization to Exchange 2000. We recommend that you upgrade your organization from 2003 to 2000 to 2003, and then 2003 to 2010. So for example, you want, if Exchange 2000 is available in your network, then first upgrade to 2003 and then upgrade it to 2007. This is where you see planning an upgrade from Exchange 2000 and Exchange 2000, upgrading to Exchange 2007 is already there. The network and directory servers, this is where we need to learn about. Network and directory server requirements of Exchange 2010. So schema master, the component of schema master requirement is Windows Server 2003 Standard Edition with Service Pack 1 or later, Windows 2003 Enterprise Edition with SP1 or later, Windows Server 2003 Standard Enterprise, Windows Server 2008 R2 Standard Enterprise. For a global catalog server, these are the main paths of your Active Directory. So you can see by default the schema master runs in the first Windows Server 2003, Windows Server 2008, or Windows Server 2000 R2. Domain controller installed in a forest, the schema master will be running in any of the following. So we will learn about those in upcoming videos about the schema master and global catalog. It can be Windows Server 2003 since they are supporting, hence any server which is Windows Server 2003, any kind of server will run in the environment. The domain controller, again the domain controller and Active Directory forest. In each Active Directory site where you plan to install Exchange 2000, you must have at least one variable domain controller. So either it will be Windows Server 2008 or Windows Server 2003, doesn't matter. standard and enterprise. With SP1 should be there. Even with forest functionality mode or higher, please choose the functionality mode into the high, not 2000. It should be start with 2003. IPv6 support. Now this is very important thing. IPv6 is supported only when IPv4 is also used. A pure IPv6 environment isn't supported. For example, if your server is totally on IPv6, then won't work. But IPv6 will only work if IPv4 is used. Using IPv4 address and IP address range is supported only when both IPv6 and IPv4 are enabled on that computer. The network supports both IP address versions. Now, this is very important part because if your server is running or supported both IPv4 IPv6, then entire row will able to install correctly. Otherwise, you will find a problem once if you want a testing purpose, then you can do it. If you disable IPv6, then especially hub transport row of Exchange server will not be installed, and then you will get an error. So do take the IPv6 even if you install Active Directory after. For example, you're not using IPv6, but your Active Directory should enable IPv6. Otherwise, hub transport row will not work. So, or will not install. So that's the problem you will get. So do remember one thing: IPv6 should be supported. If Exchange 2000 is deployed into the configuration, all server can send the data and receive data from devices, servers, clients that use IPv6. So that's the thing. If you just disable IPv6, then all devices which are maybe supporting IPv6 will not able to send or exchange data. Directory server architecture. Now this is 64-bit operating system. So and Exchange 2010 will basically work in a 64-bit Active Directory domain controller. So it will increase the performance, and that's the reason installing Exchange 2000 on directory server that the notability is there. For security performance, a reason we recommend that you install Exchange 2000 only on member server, not on Active Directory servers. However, you can't run DC promo on a computer running Exchange 2000. After Exchange 2000 install, changing its role from a member server to a directory server or vice versa isn't supported. So that's a thing they are recommending, that if your Active Directory is that you install Exchange 2010 on member server or not in the Active Directory itself, because then you can't run DC promo, so you can't uh, remove domain controller after you just install Exchange 2010, or you can't change its role from a member server or whatever. So be sure that Exchange 2010 will be the other server and not the same Active Directory. The hardware, this is what the recommended thing is there. Processor should be 64-bit architecture based computer, either will be Intel or AMD, doesn't matter. So Intel, it will be 64T, AMD 64. Intel Itanium IA64 processor are not supported. That's the key point. Intel Itanium IA64 processor are not supported. 64-bit, either for the Intel or AMD will support. Memories will vary depending on Exchange features that are installed. So that's according to it, according to the server. So make sure you have a good size. The paging file size and physical RAM will be more than 10 MB. The page file size minimum maximum must be set to physical RAM plus 10 MB. So that's the paging file size. At least 1.2 GB on the drive on which you install Exchange, an additional 500 MB of available disk size for each unifying messaging, 200 MB of available disk on the system drive. Hard disk that stores domestic queue database on edge transport server or hub transport server with at least 500 MB of free space. DVD drive, that's okay. Screen resolution 800 into 600 pixels, that's okay. File format will be NTFS. System partitions to store Exchange binary, all that. Now operating system, again this was a 64-bit operating system. It should be 64-bit. These are the requirements are there, either standard, then enterprise, R2 or R2, those will be 64-bit only. So standard or should be Service Pack 2, Enterprise, Service Pack 2, and otherwise it would be Server 2008 R2, Server 2008 R2 Enterprise. So whatever it is, it should be 64-bit. Operating system for installing Exchange management tool on computer, that is 64-bit. So again, it's the management tools which can be installed in Windows Vista with SP2, then 64-bit of 2008 standard with SP2, Server 2008 Enterprise with SP2, 64-bit Server 2008 R2 standard, 64-bit Windows Server 2008 R2 Enterprise, and Windows 7. So for Outlook and in storage, so the supports were Outlook 2010, Outlook 2007, Outlook 2003, and Storage 2008 for Mac Web Services editions. So these are the support for Outlook. Hardware virtualization. So since you're running 64-bit, then we would get the hardware virtualization running. That would be Windows Server 2008 with the Hyper-V technology. Obviously, that you need 64-bit. That SP2 version will get with Hyper-V. Otherwise, better you go with Windows Server 2008 R2 with Hyper-V technology. Microsoft Hyper-V Server 2008, Microsoft Hyper-V Server 2008 R2. The Exchange guest virtual machine is running Microsoft Exchange 2010 and is deployed on the Windows Server 2008 with SP2 and 2008 R2 operating system. So that's because, for example, you only have one server, one big server. You don't want to invest on separate Exchange server. Then you better go with hardware virtualization, but don't install Exchange server in the main machine, in the main Active Directory. Better you create another virtual machine, get that virtual machine into the network. Once that virtual machine join the network, install the Exchange Server 2010. It will have Active Directory. It has to be Active Directory, and once it will have Active Directory, you're able to install the Exchange Server 2010. So you can read more and more about the hardware virtualization, the documentation, so what to require, root machine storage requirements, and then Exchange Server storage requirements. So whatever those important points which just needs to be understand, you can go with it, you can learn with it with the manual description of Windows. This is what the link is, and as soon as you're able to understand those points, we will have the full of practicals of Exchange Server 2010. So I hope you learned something from this. The key points of installation and the system requirements of Exchange Server 2010. Thanks for watching.